Originally, this tiara design was meant to be based off of the sun, but I didn't have the brass wire that I wanted to use to make that tiara, so I decided to change the colour scheme to blue and silver, and I've called it a starburst tiara. To start off, I draw out the shape I want the tiara to be. I use this as a pattern later on. I decided on a large peak with gentle curves. This makes it look more dramatic. I measured out 60 centimeters of 2mm wire. I straightened the wire out as much as I could. The straighter the wire is, the easier it is to bend it into the shape you want. I found the center of my piece of wire and bent it with my pliers. This is the peak of my tiara. I then shaped the wire so that it matched the pattern I drew. I used the pads of my fingers to gently bend the wire into the shape I want. It took me a bit of fiddling to get the other side to match. I hardened off the base with my round nose pliers. You squeeze the pliers onto the metal and it makes it stiffer so it doesn't lose its shape while you're working with it. I made the structural pieces for this tiara using this little gizmo called a wire jig. The large peg at the top is to attach the starburst. The two smaller pegs, either side, are to attach this structural piece to the base of the tiara. I used the base as a guide so that I could work out precisely where I needed everything. I made the loops with 1.25mm wire. It was a bit fiddly to start this off, but I get there, eventually. There we go. The two smaller loops turned out to be the perfect size for the 6mm beads I decided to use. I love it when practical things turn out pretty. The excess wire then gets clipped off and the ends filed down nice and smooth. I positioned the two smaller loops where I wanted them on the base, and then I used some 0.4mm wire to hold them in place. Once I was happy with the position, I wrapped the 0.4mm wire until the top piece was completely secure. I decided that just the starburst wasn't really interesting enough, so I made 2 little double loops on my wire jig. They get tidied up and the ends filed down smooth again. And hardened off with my nylon nose pliers, which I probably should have done to the top structural piece, but I definitely didn't. These double loops then get attached to the base in the same way that I attached the top piece, wrapping them on with 0.4mm wire. I also attach them to the top piece so that they don't slide down the base. And there goes the second one. Strangely, this Pyrex jug is exactly the same size as my head. So to make the tiara, I wrap the base around the bottom of the jug. I then strengthened up the joints. I took my 0.4mm wire and I wrapped it around the 2 wires in a figure of 8 shape. Not entirely sure this was necessary, but better safe than sorry. I then clip off all the excess wire and I tuck the ends in nice and neat. Now I started on the decorations. I threaded 24 dagger beads onto 0.4mm wire. I alternated between a dark blue and a silver. I threaded the 0.4mm wire back through the first bead I added to make a loop. There was only just enough room in this bead for 2 wires. I ended up using my pliers to pull it through. The dagger beads were flopping around all over the place, so I wrapped some of the excess wire around the base of each of the beads. This worked really well. The dagger beads were held in the circle shape I wanted. The circle of dagger beads then gets wrapped onto the largest loop of the top piece with my 0.4mm wire. I made a second smaller ring of dagger beads using 12 beads. This smaller ring is made exactly the same way as the first. The wrapping of the base of the dagger beads made quite a nice weave. I think it would look really good in a larger wire, maybe a 0.6. The smaller circle of beads is then wrapped onto the larger circle using the 0.4mm wire. I realised about halfway through doing this that I should have paid more attention to the position of the smaller circle of beads, but it turned out alright in the end. Most of the beads in this tiara are not very colourful, so I used a bright electric blue 6mm bead for the centre. I used the small ring of dagger beads and some 0.4mm wire to secure it in place. I filled the 6 smaller loops with black and white cracked glass beads. I used my 0.4 wire to hold them in place. Then everything gets tidied up. I measured 26 centimeters around the base of the tiara and then I cut the wire. The ends of the wire get filed down smooth and then rolled into a loop with my round nose pliers. I measured out 40 centimeters of chain and then split the chain in half. I added a jump ring to the end of each 20cm chain. This is ridiculously fiddly. I then opened up the loops at the end of the tiara and I threaded the chains on. And then the loops get closed. I made an S-bend hook using some 0.8mm wire. I tidied up the S-bend hook, and then I hardened it off with my nylon nose pliers. The chains and the hook hold the tiara comfortably onto my head. I really liked how this turned out. It's not the loudest or sparkliest tiara out there, but it has a kind of dignity to it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.